All right, so welcome to the Patient Pod. This is episode 6. Today, we are going into anything and everything about being patient in your life. Here at our office, all these episodes that we make, we find different things that our patients are talking about, that our patients, the needs that they have. And we have noticed that this is a big one. This is a huge one with everything that's going on in the world, with all the technology we have now that is so quick. Some of our patients is kind of going out the door. And I know, and I am a huge example of not being patient. Growing up, I always wanted to succeed at different things. I wanted to be the best that I could, and I always wanted them right then. I always wanted it to be as quickly as possible. I know when I was getting into chiropractic college and going, I wanted that thing to be done. I wanted to be out. I wanted to know everything, and I wanted to be successful right then. But realistically, that's just not the way that things go. So it led to a lot of different thoughts and actions that were very negative because I wasn't being as patient as I should. And we're going to outline some of the things that not being patient in your life will do. And it might be a surprise because some of the things that you do, you might not think that it has actually contributed to not being patient in your life. So without further ado, let's get this started. Has there ever been a time where you've really struggled with being patient with something?
I mean, I think it's kind of normal, you grow up and you want things, grow up as a kid, and understanding patience is a very hard thing to do as a human being because, we see something and we want to make it happen now. And I think, patience is it's a very, very important understanding in living, because all good things take time. Anything good will, you even think of plants, crops, um, developmental stages in life, even it all just requires patience and time. And I believe that, you grow up in a world, and society can dictate that. You can see the difference now from when we grew up, and how everything is just right at your fingertips with any action that you want, or you want to buy something, it's right there. So as time's moved forward and society has changed, it's easier to get things quicker. So our patience, I think, has shrunk even over time. And again, everything good takes time. Patience is one of those. It falls into, the belief in yourself and understanding that it really, I've always kind of had the mindset, and my parents instilled this to me when I was a young kid, that it really just matters where you are at the end of the day. Where are you at the end of your life, or at the end of your athletic journey? Your last game, you want it to be your best. And so it's understanding that, I might not be where I want to be right now, but the beauty of life and the beauty of being a human is that if you really want to, see yourself in a successful spot, that it's going to take time, and you have to put in the work. You have to see yourself doing successful things, and it's not just going to happen at the drop of a hat. Patience is really, if you look up the definition, the capacity, habit, or fact of being. It's, the capacity to withstand stress, withstand pressure, withstand the understanding that you might not be where you're at right now, but over time, if you do the little things, like the habits of what successful people do, whether it's your sleeping habits, your workout habits, how you eat, what you put into your body. Your body is your vessel throughout this entire life. We've said before, 80 to 100 years. It's a long time, but really, and I know you hear this a lot, we're both getting into I'm in my mid 30s now, and time goes by a lot quicker. But I will say that the foundation set from sports, from just keeping with the process, so to speak, throughout my 20s, I've realized that all that patience, chiropractic school, developing and starting a business, it's all just taken time. And you learn those little lessons growing up. You learn those foundational lessons in sports. If you work hard at something and you practice at it, and you perfect your craft day after day, you get better. And it's one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, but and it all deals with the nervous system as well. We want to do something quick. We want it now. Our heartbeat's racing. We want it now, now, now. And we are in a now generation where it's so quick and easy to get things that it's almost like, again, the patient's tolerance is shrunk over time, and the understanding that your life is very precious and that you should take every day and cherish every day because it's all building up to where you want to end up being.
Yep. So I think one of the biggest things is when you are lacking the patience to get to where you want to be, it's the frustration. The frustration takes over. And I believe that at the beginning, it's really hard to see that frustration is actually due to the lack of patience that you're having with that process. But over time, it starts to compile and compile and compile, and all of a sudden, we're just frustrated for no reason, and we can't even really pinpoint why that is. We're frustrated because we haven't succeeded in the aspect that we want to. We're not getting things quick enough, and then we start having, well, do I kind of regret what I did because maybe it wasn't a good decision for my life. And so all of this patience and all that frustration, it cuts out it cuts out the time that you get to enjoy the process. There is so many times within trying to figure something out, going through what you're going through, that there's a lot of great things in between. When I was going through chiropractic college, it was tough. It was a tough school, and I know that there was a certain portion of it that I really didn't enjoy being there because I was so impatient. I wanted to get something very quickly. And so I wasn't enjoying the in between. I wasn't enjoying anything that was going on around me because I was just frustrated with, I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm not who I want to be yet. And I still had 2 3 years to accomplish that. And that was tough. That was tough. And so after that fact, and after I matured a little bit, after my early 20s, and we're gonna have some episodes on how you should be in your 20s and some things to avoid. But after I matured a little bit more, I realized that the end result is awesome. When you work towards something and you finally get it, that is awesome. But that is just a small glimpse in time of the that you get to celebrate. And then it moves on to something else. So the majority of your time is going to be spent during that process of figuring out whatever you want to do. If you want a new job, if you want to find, the person that you love and get married, and it's not getting there as quickly as you think it should be. Any of those things. I mean, it just takes time to get there. In the in between, there's a lot of beauty in the in between. So we have to be patient, because if we're not enjoying our life. We're missing out on a bunch of years that we could really be excited, learning, and growing.
The process, you have to enjoy every bit of it. I'd say my experience with that was definitely chiropractic school as well. I mean, just to be transparent, school, I just kind of got by, you know, um, going through high school. I just showed up, I got by, I got my B, and I moved on because sports were my focus. And as long as I could play sports, I was good. But what I didn't realize is, as going even through college, I showed up to play baseball, but I got a good education just by showing up. And then going into chiropractic school, dude, I was so unprepared, and in fact was at one point going, a year in, um, basically told that statistically, due to my GPA, I probably wouldn't make it through this place. And so I took that to heart. And it's maybe to a fault. I've always been told, if somebody can do it, I can do it. And if I'm told I can't do it, then I give them a reason why I can. And unfortunately, that's kind of, not always the best way to look at things. You got to be realistic with what you're told you can't do and know your limitations. But that was a moment where I realized, okay, this is a journey, this is a process. And I can remember after, finally getting through, after that moment, I succeeded through school and really learned to enjoy it. Once I kind of got my grips, and chiropractic school was like a big puzzle. In your first year or two, you're kind of developing the border. And as pieces start filling in, you start to realize it's a whole picture of the human body. And man, you just become more repetitive at that. And I learned to enjoy it. I said, you know what, it's going to be 2.5 more years, but I'm going to enjoy this, really learn. And it was harder for me. But what I realized is it didn't come easy to me as maybe the valedictorian in our class, but I had to, fight, scratch and claw for every bit that I got. And even on graduation day, I remember feeling fulfilled, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to feel like. And I'm sure you felt the same way. It's not like
Hmm.
you go out to the parking lot after you graduate and there's a big pot of gold because you made it. Now it's the next part of the journey. But I remember that feeling of, I've reflected back. It's like this montage of feelings, and you'll have these moments in your life where you look back and you're just so grateful for the opportunities. And I think gratitude is something that we lack as well, as just being thankful that you get opportunities in life, and you take advantage of those opportunities, and you develop those small wins in life, and it just develops momentum. I think that's the biggest thing with patience is over time you just develop confidence because you realize that if you just ride the wave out, it'll take you where you need to be. You just got to be willing to listen and be very grateful for what you got.
Yep. I always thought it was like the ending that I really needed to get to. And that was the young me. And they say as you get older, you get a little bit more wisdom. I always thought it was the end. And I'll be honest. So, talking, going back to chiropractic college and the ending, I remember at the end and going to graduation, just like you're talking about, I was actually kind of sad. I was sad at the end, and it wasn't because I was leaving that place. It wasn't the friend. I loved all my friends and everyone, and they were very important in my life. But those things are coming. It was really because that part of my journey that I had always focused on. I was always intense about it, and it was exciting. That part was done, and I kind of had this realization. It's not the end that I was really looking for. It was all
Hmm.
the middle. It was all the growth. It was all of the hard work. That's what actually made the difference. All the relationships I've made all the way through that. All the struggles that we went through, we worked out of, and we got better. All those things is what matters. And then, getting out of chiropractic college, you got to be an adult and you got to go get a job and you got to start, you're starting all the way over again. And so, then what's your next feat? I want to be successful in my career. I want to get people better. I want to be able to own my own business one day. I want all those different things. And so you kind of start over. And I know all the listeners that are listening, the same principles apply for any profession, any school. Doesn't matter if you went to school, you still have those transition zones
No doubt.
where you had to flip the switch and go, okay, here we go again. We're starting over. And even within the last few years, a lot of people have started over. A lot of people have started with new jobs, with the economy not being as good as it could be. People are starting over, and that can be frustrating. But like Dr. Agan was saying, as long as we have gratitude and we're able to go, okay, I'm thankful for all the things that I got, and I'm thankful for the direction that I'm going. You really can't lose in that situation. You can't lose. The only way that you lose is because you always focus on one thing, and it's all about that one thing. And if you don't get it, then the world, is not worth it. If you can have gratitude with each and every day and you start thinking about it, hey, this is really cool about my life. This is something that's really going good. If it's a spouse, if it's family members, if it's part of your work, if you can look at that and go, man, that is really cool. Not everyone's got that. Then it'll change your whole world. That little bit of gratitude will change your whole world.
Yes, gratitude is your friend, and it's going to give you that momentum, and overall just see it's going to give you that appreciation as well of your journey and where you're going to go. And so many of us, it just comes down to, you know, seeing it, we go into back to the power of thinking, and how you create your own reality in your head. And there's really truly you know, nobody can tell the way somebody thinks or how they manage through their life. And they go, what exactly do you do? Again, it goes back to perception and how you perceive the world. And we all have different angles at that. But if we can come back down to just that core principle of gratitude, and just really enjoy the journey. Now, a A lot of the times when you're in the middle of it and you're at the thick of it, you don't see that. It's like I express this to like an analogy is going on a long hike. So you're going on a long hike and all of a sudden you didn't know it was going to be that difficult. And it's just, if you've gone on a 8-9 mile hike, that's a long hike. I mean, it's a full day of just taking in nature. And then you're just like, we're in a society that, your phone's out of service and you almost feel anxious. But if you really just breathe and focus on one moment at a time, and then you get to the end of the hike and you're finally done, and it's very healing, because that next day or two, you're just going to go, oh, remember this one area of the hike that was difficult that, um, at the time I was kind of ready to be done with this hike, but I kind of embraced it and took it in. I mean, life is a big, long marathon, and it's a long hike, and appreciating every step of the journey. And then you're just going to get these little moments of, synchronicities that happen that you're just like, wow, that was very beautiful. It was a moment that I didn't know it then, but looking back now, it wasn't the end goal. It wasn't it's just like sports. You hit a home run, and there's really no better feeling than rounding that first base and seeing the umpire, throw his hands around that it's a home run. But then you think, as you're rounding the bases, of all those mornings you woke up and all those extra swings you took for batting practice, and then you go, man, that was so worth it. And a lot of the times you might not hit that home run when you think you're going to, but if you just keep going, and then when you do hit that dinger and you reflect back, and you just, man, it's like your heart will pump and even harder. You'll feel just this glow of appreciation. And as corny as that sounds, that you use those analogies in life, starting a business, whether any type of relationship that you foster and you develop. At the end of the day, you look back and you reflect, and you're grateful for those awesome moments, the hard moments. And then again, it all goes back to giving yourself that confidence, finding a goal that's sustainable, and finding all those resources like we've shared before, finding a mentor and all those things, because material things, money and, clothes, cars, and all that stuff, it's just like they always say, you can't take it with you. And that's just a byproduct of your hard work sometimes. But man, you really look back and you're grateful for the journey. You don't stress as much either, because you realize that this is part of the process. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the heartache. Fall in love with the stressful times, and you go back and you're just really going to love it.